Hey guys, it's Anne over at Plant Obsessed, and we're going to peek on the layers of the stacked bin today. I haven't fed the lower layers for probably a month, so we're going to check all the layers and evaluate them for what they need, and then feed them up if they do. I'll bring you back in a second. Okay, this is the bottom layer. We normally start on the top, but this time I thought I would start on the bottom because we have not checked on it in so long. And it's look like some very nice castings in here. They still are definitely working through the paper, but I don't smell any evidence that the food is still here at all. You can see over here in the corner, it's just pure castings. Yeah, the stacked systems, I've said it before, but in case you're new, they don't work exactly the way you think they're going to work with them migrating up as they run out of food. So I've kind of just gone with it. You know, go with them with what they're going to do. And they tend to enjoy living on all the levels. So I just decided to go ahead and do that and make sure that they have substrate and food to have on all three levels. So this smells good. It's looking good. I don't see any evidence smell-wise or visually of the feeding that I gave them originally. Probably almost a month now. I most recently fed on the upper level. It stays quite a bit wetter under here. And they do still breed. It's not like they're down here and they're just escaping from something in kind of transient sort of way. They actually, they live down here at the bottom. Haven't noticed any sort of trend for species, or I don't know if it's the younger worms that stay down here because the holes are smaller and the big ones can't get down here. I don't know. But yeah, I'm gonna do a small middle feeding here. It's not very deep, you can tell. It's only up to my first, probably, when it's all flattened out, it's just up to my first knuckle. So it's not very deep in here, so I don't want to overwhelm them. So I'm gonna poke a little bare spot in the bottom here, and then I'm gonna grab some food. I'll bring you back in a second. Okay, so this does have some food in it, as well as some coconut coir. So just a real small feeding, covered up with the other stuff. It's the bottom layer, I don't usually see any evidence of gnats or anything in here. Alright, that's all I'm going to give them. They look good, they look healthy. I'll bring you back when I've got the next layer on. Okay, this is the second layer down. And I think it looks pretty similar. I think that aside from the slightly tougher color paper, I think everything is composting nicely. Have a little bit of a coffee filter there. But same story. Everything looks really good. And I do see a little area along the edges that's just compost. It's just the worm castings. So as they travel around, they deposit their castings in almost like a layer when they are inside of a layered system, at least this one. But yes, I'm still seeing all of the plastic bags and their varying levels of decay, but I don't see any food from any of the feedings that I've done. And they do look like they're plowing through it really good. They look healthy. It smells good in here. So I'm just gonna fluff it up and make sure keep the oxygen to all the different areas. Part of the time I think, well, you know, nobody's out there fluffing the dirt outside to help them out. But outside worms have an option to leave if an area gets, you know, to a state that they don't like. So that's one of my justifications, other than the fact that I'm nosy and I just want to see what my worms are doing. But they appear to be less progressed as the layer down, but I still think they're doing really well. So I'm going to do the same thing, and I'm going to clear out a spot here in the middle so this layer is a little deeper. Put that coffee ground in the bottom there, and we'll go grab a scoop of food. Alrighty, I'm going to give them a full scoop. And that appears to be more food than bedding. There is some coconut coir, but it is mostly the food. But I'm going to cover that up with the existing castings, and I'll bring you back when I've got the top layer in. Okay, we're up to the top layer now. You can see they do enjoy being on that lid. It's not the lid to this thing, but it is so you get a good air along the edges. But looking at this, everything looks pretty happy. I'm going to start moving things around. See what I find. Everything looks nice and fluffy. Worms look happy. Oop, hold on. I think I'm finding the last feeding. It's a little warm, and it's completely full of worms. Let's see how far that goes. Get the other stuff out of the way. Oh, okay. You know, I vaguely remember saying I was going to do a huge feeding because I was going to keep being gone. They're not through it yet. They're not through all the feeding. But they certainly have found it and are working on it. Now my basement is probably managing to stay at about 70 now, which is fine for the red wigglers and the blues and the euros. But a little compacted down here. So it's still, they're still definitely working on that last feeding. So I'm not going to feed the top layer at all. But I am going to fluff up the areas that are aside the feedings. I'm going to put the feedings back. Make sure they're all covered up really well. And then I'm going to fluff the rest of the bin so that they can run amok if they want to. It does look a little bit dry, but I'm certainly not going to mess with that much food in there right now. They need to be able to have another place to go should they, you know, should it go anaerobic or something. Oh, that's my butternut squash top. But yeah, it's all nice and fluffy. They're really working through it. And I'm not feeding the top because they've got more than enough food to keep them happy for this week for sure. So I think whatever worms I took out to help out the big boy bin is slowing down their progression of their feeding a little bit. So not, okay, apparently I dropped some bubble wrap on the floor and I just stepped on it and gave myself a heart attack. Anywho, here's the stacked bin for the day. Give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you're not already a subscriber, And put the comments below on what you think about this particular system and how it's going. Give me any advice you've got, and I will see you guys later. Have a good night.